about her family and their Christmas. And she was giving it to my grandmother, who had just given birth, it sounds like, to my mother. So this is a very old story, and it's part of our family history, and it's charming. And I have spent a lot of time trying to trace back certain little details in it. Dear descendants of the Topman branch of the Creers, I wonder what you're going to be like. Perhaps you will read my little story and laugh at it. But if you inherit your great-great-grandmother Topman's love of family, past, present, and future, you will do no such thing. You may smile, and I can even imagine you saying how quaint and old-fashioned, and I'm sure they were all nice. What a funny old lady Aunt Laura must have been. Ah, yes, well, I'm going to give this to Eleanor. Now, that would have been my grandmother. To give to Evie George, who would have been my mother. And then to give, and there's a blank, and that would have been filled in by myself. And then there's another blank, and that was filled in by my daughter, Evelyn. And another blank, which they don't have, would go to my granddaughter, Eleanor Peace Colette Coleman. And then, of course, it'll be passed on to her daughter, Eva. So this is a very old story and has a lot of meaning to me. And what we tried to do was to, and I'll be happy to share this with everybody, but we tried to do was to get pictures of the people who were described here so that you would have that in addition. It was snowing in Rogers Park. Great flaky crystals have been falling gently for several hours. And the trees and lawns were clothed in sparkling white. Marion sat at the breakfast table, stirring her coffee in that slow, absent-minded way she had when deep in thought. Now, Marion, as I told you, is my Aunt Laura, and that religious name was Marion. The rest of the family, except Father, who had not yet come down, were immersed in the morning paper. It was the creed of this family that conversation should be ignored at the breakfast table, and it had been agreed upon that the real way to enjoy this meal...
Uh-oh.
Where we're going? To enjoy this meal was to sip indefinite numbers of cups of coffee, while each one is at liberty to read her particular part of the daily paper undisturbed. Eating was to be purely incidental, and protests from various Henriettas had been so far unavailing. The reference to Henrietta is this woman who gives advice in the newspaper about, you know, what should be going on, how proper
Dear Henrietta.
Breakfast. And so Doctor's favorite page, and Doctor, by the way, is the husband of Marie Louise. Doctor's favorite page was the political sheet. Mother was looking at the cartoons. May, or probably speaking, Marie Louise, was reading the editorials, and Evelyn and Eleanor had their heads together in the bargain sheet. Suddenly, Evelyn said, without looking up, only 18 more days until Christmas. No one paid the slightest attention. According to the creed, all remarks were to be posited, as it were, in a sort of general fund. And Eleanor was a lively conversationalist, and often when she failed to secure an audience, she carried on an undaunted, spirited monologues with, as she termed it, her friend the coffee pot. But this morning, only 18 more days till Christmas, even Eleanor was too much engrossed for interruption. 18 more days till Christmas. Marion had been thinking of that very thing as she watched the snow falling so pure and white out here, and probably a mass of slush and mud in her district. And it seemed to her to typify the beauty of the one and the desolation of the other kind of Christmas she was considering. For Marion, be it known, was a visiting nurse, and this was her first Christmas in district work. That she was a member of the organization explained the blue and white uniform worn with the tiny letters VNA embroidered on the sleeve, as well as the dark blue bonnet and the short veil. There were many plans afoot this year for bringing Christmas cheer to the homes of the poor. Many children's parties and Christmas trees arranged for by the kindly people of Chicago, to whom the living voice of the Christ child reached ever above the roar of the great city. But Marion was not satisfied. She was wondering whether if it were quite right for her to have so much of life's joys when the homes into which she daily went had so few. She wanted very much to be consistent, yet she was not quite sure of her own opinions upon these social questions about which she was now hearing and reading so much. Why should she give and receive superfluous gifts when there were so many to whom a load of coal on a Christmas dinner would have been appreciable help? Do you know, she said slowly, and as though she were dreaming aloud, been thinking it wouldn't be such a bad idea for us to have a sane Christmas this year. The doctor was reading from the outspread newspaper, merely folded it together for a moment, looked at her over his spectacles, and smiled. With a quizzical expression in his blue-gray eyes, the bomb passed over Mother's head unheeded. May sniffed disdainfully, but did not even look up from the BLT column. Evelyn said in an undertone, "Oh, for goodness sake, Marion, don't get any crazy ideas into your head." But Eleanor could let no such challenge go unanswered. "No, sirree," she exclaimed, her eyes snapping. "I say down with the same Christmas. The whole world can have 'em if they want 'em. But I want Christmas tree with lights and presents, lots of 'em, and big turkey dinner, and every one of the relations here, and sane or insane. I want John's children to recite about Santa Claus. And what's the use of having a family," she demanded, "if you can't enjoy them just as long as you live? And you didn't give me a single present if you don't want to, because of course I know how you feel about the Wiggins family, but I'll tell you right now, I'm going to give you a present, and I don't think it's right for you to change a custom like that. Why, it's almost part of religion to give presents."
Okay, wait, I gotta stop it now. Who were the Wiggins family?
Just a family that Aura served. The nurse.
Okay, got it. So they had nothing. Okay.
They were
And
not.
Eleanor, who sang all this, down, down,
my
down with the
grandmother.
same, and she was pregnant with grandmother.
No.
Not yet. She was still
No.
single.
She is my grandmother. This is not my great-grandmother, but my grandmother at this stage in this book is now about...
She's a teenager.
this
18 or so.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But we can now see where it all came from.
When Eleanor argued she was inclined to be excited and to cut short any further oratory, Marion rose from
Makes
the table,
so much
slipped on her
sense.
service coat, and picking up a little black bag of her trade, she pronounced her ultimatum. "Maybe I'm wrong," she said, "but I just can't be frivolous when the rest of my little world is so full of trouble. I'm going to pull all my energy where it will do the most good." As she passed out into the beautiful snow-white world, Marion had a vague, uncomfortable feeling that she had made an extremely foolish remark, that she had indeed acted upon impulse rather than from principle. For after all, she thought, the milk of human kindness is stimulated not by lesson, but by a greater demand upon it. She remembered, too, that it was invariably those who did most for others who seemed always to have time for just one more favor. Perhaps. But at this point, her meditation was interrupted, for as she reached the sidewalk, she heard Eleanor's voice to the accompaniment of a rollicking ragtime strain.
Which we need to identify. We need to figure
Goodness
this out.
gracious, what do you know? Marion says it's all gotta go. Santa Claus, oh well! Christmas, oh well! And presents, still more well! And snow! It's all gone crazy, she said, and so chorus. Down, down, down with the same. Everything to lose and nothing to gain. On the morning of the 15th, day before Christmas, Evelyn came down to breakfast early, dressed